The bitter winter of 1914 had descended upon the Western Front, bringing with it not only the biting cold, but also the grim reality of a war that was supposed to be over by Christmas. Trenches, those open wounds in the earth, stretched for hundreds of miles, manned by young men from across Europe, each side demonizing the other. Yet, amidst the mud, the barbed wire, and the ever-present threat of death, something extraordinary was about to unfold. On Christmas Eve, a fragile sound began to carry across the frozen no-man's land. Carols, sung in German, then in English, drifted through the frosty air. It started tentatively, a single voice, then another, until entire companies were singing in their respective languages, their voices weaving an unlikely tapestry of peace. Then, a remarkable sight. Small Christmas trees, adorned with candles, appeared above the German trenches, and, against all military logic, calls began to ring out. You know fight, we know fight. Soon, hesitant figures emerged from the trenches, walking towards each other, their rifles slung or even left behind. British and German soldiers, who just hours before had been trying to kill each other, met in the middle. They exchanged cigarettes, shared meager rations, and showed each other photographs of their families. Some even played impromptu games of football, using helmets as goalposts, a fleeting moment of camaraderie amidst the vast machinery of war. This spontaneous cessation of hostilities was not an isolated incident. It spread across an estimated 2/3 of the British front line in Flanders, covering almost 40 miles. It was an unspoken, yet powerful, refusal to adhere to the political rhetoric that had thrown them into this cosmic conflict. For many, the truce offered a necessary and grim task, recovering the dead. For days, bodies had lain in the frozen no-man's land. Soldiers from both sides worked together to give their fallen comrades a proper burial, a stark reminder of the cost of the war they were briefly ignoring. This was a failure of command, but a triumph of humanity. High command on both sides, the British General Staff and the German Oberste Heeresleitung, were horrified. The war was meant to be fought with hatred and animosity. This unprecedented fraternization threatened the very morale required to sustain the conflict. Within days, the fragile peace was shattered. Direct orders were issued to cease all fraternization, threatening courts-martial for those who dared to repeat the act. The machine of war, once stalled by the spirit of Christmas, began to grind again. The rifles were picked up. The artillery returned to its deadly work. The Christmas Truce of 1914, while short-lived, stands as a profound historical anomaly. It demonstrated that the hatred required for total war was not inherent in the common soldier, but had to be manufactured and enforced from above. As an astrophysicist, I recognize that the energy needed to power the universe is immense, yet the power contained within a single act of human compassion against the backdrop of unimaginable destruction is equally, if not more, staggering. It was a moment when the shared human light was stronger than the manufactured darkness. The war would drag on for 4 more years, claiming millions of lives. But for one brief, cold Christmas, the soldiers of the Western Front chose peace. They chose not to fight, and that choice echoes across the century, a simple, powerful truth. Even in the darkest trenches, humanity can find its light.